My name's Nick Wayth and I'm the Chief Executive of the Energy Institute, and we're the global professional body for people that work across the world of energy. In terms of energy, we're at a really interesting point. The Energy Institute is the home of the Statistical Review of World Energy. So each year we measure all forms of energy, the consumption, the production and the trade flows. And there's been a lot of discussion around, is this an energy transition or an energy addition? And I think both of those statements are actually true right now. Globally, we go back to 2024, all forms of energy reached record highs, record coal, record oil, gas, nuclear, and of course renewables. But actually that global picture masks what's happening regionally. And we know that developed economies like the US and Europe are in structural decline in terms of the use of fossil. But actually we're reaching some really important inflection points. In China, oil demand has effectively plateaued. If we haven't reached a peak, we're very close to it as the penetration of EVs continues to grow rapidly. And we're also seeing similar trends in the power sector where coal has dominated and still makes up 60% of the overall mix. But for the first time, we're beginning to see coal actually displaced from the Chinese power grid. And I think it's fair to say that whilst we have, looking backwards, seen an energy addition, we are indeed going through an energy transition. The transition primarily is being driven by two technologies, wind and solar, and they make up the vast amount of new growth that we've seen. But equally, we shouldn't forget about the role of hydro, which continues to provide a huge part of the global electricity mix. It's clearly growing not as fast as wind and solar, but is very significant in terms of its overall role. And of course, nuclear. And there's been a lot of focus on the growth of nuclear, both large scale and SMR, small modular reactor technology. And I think ultimately we need all of these technologies in the mix. What really excites me is we've long talked about the role of battery storage and sort of this utopian dream of having firm solar and battery storage providing firm power commercially, competitively, economically viable. And actually for the first time, we're now seeing that at scale here in the UAE, where Masdar has announced a really significant project, a 5.2 gigawatt solar project coupled with battery storage to provide firm solar and storage power. Battery storage and solar is not a new concept, but I think it's the pace at which the costs have come down. We've seen that over the last decade or two in solar, but we're also now seeing that in battery storage. And once that is reaching sort of cost parity with the alternative, it becomes a really important inflection point in terms of the transition. Clearly, it won't be the same everywhere. In other geographies, wind plus solar may be more attractive, and many other combinations too. But it's really exciting to see the role of solar plus storage playing out here in the UAE. There's a huge amount of talk about the energy demands of AI and data centers, and of course we shouldn't ignore that. It does matter. It matters particularly where those data centers are situated, so there's a very sort of localized demand for power, and of course getting access to grid connections is critical. Perhaps even more exciting is the role that AI has to play in accelerating the transition, optimizing the use of electricity through controlling EVs, through controlling heating, cooling, and the ability just to optimize the overall energy system. I think we've yet to scratch the surface in the role of AI in the energy transition. What really excites me about the next stage of what's happening in the energy transition and transformation is that we're now reaching some really important inflection points. In China, the prospect of hitting peak fossil is happening. We may be peaking in coal and oil even as we speak today, and gas will probably follow in due course. And so this notion that whole economies continue to grow economically and bring prosperity to their population, but ultimately do that in a more efficient and less energy intense way, I think is really exciting. Now, clearly that won't happen everywhere at once. We have a long way to go in terms of India and the African continent. But I think we're reaching some really important tipping points with the role of electrification, renewables. Technologies like battery storage will begin to take away the use of fossil in some of the key geographies around the world.